Hi class, so welcome back to our subject organization and management. So for today, we're going to discuss the remaining topics under chapter 5, staffing. Previously, under staffing, so we already discussed the definition and nature of staffing, recruitment, selection, and training and development. And for now, we're going to discuss the compensation or wages and performance evaluation or appraisal, and employee relations, employee movements, and reward system. Lesson 5, Compensation or Wages and Performance Evaluation or Appraisal. Compensation or wages and performance evaluation are related to each other because the employee's excellent or poor performance also determines the compensation given to them. After considering other internal and external factors like the actual worth of the job, compensation strategy of the organization, conditions of the labor market, cost of living, and area wage rates, among others. So, ibig sabihin, it relates with one another since if the employee is performing well or through the performance evaluation, saka maibibigay yung tamang compensation or wages sa kanya. But what is the meaning of compensation or wages or the performance evaluation? So, compensation or wages are all forms of pay given by employers to their employees for the performance of their jobs. While performance evaluation, so it is a process undertaken by the organization, usually done once a year, and it is designed to measure employees' work performance. So, as you can see, upon measuring the employees' work performance, so they are given the just compensation for the efforts that they've done during their work. So first, we're going to understand more what are the types of the compensation and how does it connect to the organizational objectives, and why does compensation become a motivational factor for employees. So here are the types of compensation. First one, direct compensation. So it includes workers' salaries, incentive pays, bonuses, and commission. So technically, ito yung compensation na makukuha nila from their work. Next is indirect compensation. So it includes benefits given by employers other than financial remuneration. So for example, we have travel, educational and health benefits, and others. So ito yung parang mga additional benefits that are given to the employee. So like nga yung travel or travel opportunities or yung mga compensation na pwede kang makapag-travel or yung travel allowance and also educational. And isa sa pinakamagandang binibigay ng mga employers as indirect compensation is the health benefits. Example of this is yung mga HMO like the IntelliCare, Medicare, wherein magkakaroon or merong set na premium kada employee and then they can consume that. So if, for example, a certain hospital is an IntelliCare accredited, so pwede sila doon makapag-check up, dalhin for emergency, and then wala nang babayaran yung employees mo. So, ang magbabayad doon is yung HMO provider, which is si IntelliCare, na binabayaran naman ni employer mo. So, isa yun sa maganda, lalo na, for example naman, hindi laging sapat. For example, si PhilHealth, lalo na kapag malaki yung mga nagagastos sa hospital. So, malaking bagay yung merong health benefit yung mga employees from the employers. Then the last type of compensation is the non-financial compensation. So this includes recognition programs, being assigned to do rewarding jobs, or enjoying management support, ideal work environment, and convenient work hours. So aside from giving you salaries or incentive pays or the health benefits, so dito sa non-financial compensation, yung mga nakakapag benefit sa'yo or advantage to you or you the things that makes you more comfortable in the work, like for example giving you convenient work hours. So pwedeng bigyan ka nila as compensation na flexible yung work hours more. So ibig sabihin hindi ka malilate or wala kang late as long as you consume the designated hours you need to work for that day. So ganun yung non-financial compensation. So not through financial but through recognition or mga things na nakakapagpadali ng work mo. Connecting compensation to organizational objectives. So, worker compensation or wages had tremendously changed in the 21st century due to increased market competitions, required skills from workers, and changes in technology, among others. So, along with this, organizations' pay philosophies have also changed. So, instead of paying employees based mainly on their job position or titles, they are now given pay according to their individual competencies or according to how much they could contribute or have contributed to their company's success. So, wage experts now prepare compensation packages that create value for both the organization and its employees. So, as you can see here in this diagram, so ito yung sinasabi ng parang connecting compensations to organizational objectives. So, right now, yung lahat ng effort or lahat ng pwedeng i-contribute nung tao or nung employee is equally aligned with the pay na binibigay sa kanya nung employer. Especially now na nagkakaroon nga ng drastic change due to increased market competitions or yung mga required skills and also because of the technology. So, kaya ngayon, more on nagagawa na ng mga compensation package based dun sa value or dun sa mga kayang gawin ng employees for the organizational objectives. So this diagram depicts the pay equity. So pay equity is among the important considerations in preparing compensation packages. So yung compensation packages pala is siya yung parang set of compensation na binibigay mo sa employee mo. So for example, the compensation package is composed of your basic salary or the non-de minimis benefits or the healthcare benefits. So, yung mga na-discuss natin kanina na types of compensation, so dito siya papasok, doon sa compensation packages. And also, as illustrated in this diagram, pay equity is based on the idea that an employee's pay must be commensurate to his or her effort and also his or her utilization. Para 'di ba, nasasabi din nung employer na sulit din yung binibigay nilang compensation dun sa employee. Kasi in return naman, yung service or yung value ng work na ginagawa niya really contributes for the organization to obtain its objectives or goals. Compensation, a motivational factor for employees. So, compensation pay represents a reward that an employee receives for good performance that contributes to the company's success. So, in relation to this, the following must be considered. First one is pay equity, as we already discussed earlier. But to make it more detailed, pay equity relates to fairness. So the equity theory is a motivation theory focusing on employees' response to the pay that they received and the feeling that they receive less or more than they deserve. So employees generally feel that their pay must be commensurate to the effort exerted in the performance of their job. So, in other words, pay equity is achieved when the pay given to them by their employers is equal to the value of the job performed. Thus, this motivates them to perform well and to do their jobs to the best of their abilities. So, what do you think can happen if you do a lot of work or you do more than they pay you? Or mas mataas yung parang mas madami yung ginagawa mong trabaho kaysa dun sa compensation na nare-receive mo. So you will feel burnt out or you will feel really tired, and then matidemotivate ka na parang may isip mo, why am I doing this? Or bakit ganito yung kagrabe yung trabaho ko? Eh, konti lang naman yung nakukuha kong benefit from that. Kasi nga, di ba, dito sa pay equity is dapat merong fairness or parang equal yung value na binibigay mo sa kanila, and at the same time, yung natatanggap mo dun sa employer mo. So, technically, yung mga employees kapag parang nafe-feel na nila na hindi na nagkakaroon ng gantong pay equity or nung fairness, so parang mag-iisip na sila na lumipat kung saan mas mava-value yung job na nagawa nila through that compensation. So next one is the expectancy theory. So this is another theory of motivation which predicts that employees are motivated to work well because of the attractiveness of the rewards or benefits that they may possibly receive from a job assignment. So under this expectancy theory, so yung motivation naman daw is coming from the gaano ka-attractive yung mga rewards or benefits na pwedeng makuha ng mga employees upon receiving the job assignment or upon entering the organization. Like for example, merong pabahay or there is better health insurance or merong for example na fringe benefit which is yung car loan or other rewards or benefits na mas maeengganyo or mas mamomotivate yung mga employees to work really hard. So, again, that will connect to the organizational objectives and goals. Kasi kapag motivated yung employees mo, so ibig sabihin, mas maganda din yung output na naibibigay nila para sa kumpanya. So again, the employee's perception of the compensation or pay attached to a job position is an important factor in ascertaining the motivational value of compensation. So after understanding more the compensation aspect, we're heading to the purposes of performance evaluation. Improving individual job performance through performance evaluation is just one of the reasons why employees are subjected to assessments on a continuous basis. So there are other purposes behind employee assessment that are beneficial to the company and employees. Thus, we're going to discuss today the administrative and developmental purpose of the performance evaluation. So first one is the administrative purposes. So these are fulfilled through appraisal or evaluation programs that provide information that may be used as basis for compensation decisions, promotions, transfers, and terminations. So dito sa administrative purposes, usually, kapag nagsa-start sa company, meron tayong tinatawag na probationary period, which is 6 months. So, doon muna nakabase yung parang pay mo or compensation mo, and if matuterminate ka ba or hindi ka ma-regular. So, pag hindi ka na regular, ibig sabihin, hindi ka magiging regular employee ng company and matuterminate ka. Pero, once naman na based dun sa evaluation, so, tapos na regular ka, so, ibig sabihin, meron ding basis yon dun sa compensation na, for example, upon regularization, merong additional compensation or there is additional benefits for you to have. And also, kapag napopromote din, kailangan mo na din nung performance evaluation. Kasi dito maa-assess kung gaano ba kalaki yung na-contribute mo dun sa organizational objectives or goals. And then through that, malalaman na nung employer mo kung parang ano yung pwedeng maging basis sa'yo for additional compensation or for the promotion or through that performance evaluation, makikita nila na meron talagang decline sa performance mo. So, it may lead to possible termination. So, that's why under administrative purposes, performance evaluation is very important. Next is the developmental purposes. So, these are fulfilled through appraisal or evaluation programs that provide information about employees' performance and their strengths and weaknesses that may be used as basis for identifying their training and development needs. Through this approach, the workers become more receptive to the explanations given by the organization's management regarding the importance of having evaluations at regular intervals. So those performance evaluation are conducted to improve their competencies in order to prepare them for future job assignments. So, dito naman sa developmental purposes is for you to develop your strengths and also your weaknesses. Kasi 'di ba, once na nakapaggawa or um nakapag-provide nung performance evaluation, so malalaman mo kung saang side ka, for example, na needs for improvement or mache-check mo kung ano na ba yung mga strengths mo, and then puwede din siya maging gauge or basis kung saan ka pang puwedeng training and development na ilagay or ano pa dapat yung mas i-improve mo or i-develop mo. And also, hindi lang naman yon para sa company, but also for yourself since you're developing um, your craft or the profession na kung nasaan ka. So that's why under this performance evaluation, isa sa mga purpose niya is yung developmental purposes or yung development ng mga employees. Again, that's lesson 5, compensation or pay and performance evaluation or appraisal. Still under staffing, we're heading to our next lesson, which is lesson 6, employee relations. So first, what is employee relations? So it is the connection created among employees or workers as they do their assigned tasks for the organization to which they belong. So employee relations applies to all phases of work activities in an organization, and managers to be effective, it must be able to encourage good employee relations among all human resources under his or her care. So, ibig sabihin, yung employees or workers are social beings who need connections or relations with other beings or other employees or workers who can give them social support as they carry out their tasks in the organization where all of them belong. So, talking to a coworker, perceived to be a friend, or working on a delicate task with others can be comforting during times of stress, fear, or loneliness. So, when these negative feelings are overcome, employees will be able to work better toward the achievement of the organization's goals. So, kaya siya kailangang itakel or kailangan bigyan siya ng importance under organization kasi once na hindi na overcome or walang proper employee relations yung bawat isa na nagtatrabaho under your organization or under your care, so lalabas din yung meron silang fear or super stress sila or makaka-feel sila ng parang hindi sila inaalagaan or wala silang maayos na coordination, teamwork. So that will eventually be a hinder to achieve the organization's goals. So as I have mentioned earlier, so through the employee relations, nagkakaroon ng social support ang kada employee. So, how can we have these effective employer relations and social support? So, first things first, social support is a sum of perceived assistance or benefits that may result from effective social employee relationships. So, ibig sabihin, yung quantity and quality of an employee's relationship with others determine the social support. So, it can be the esteem support, informational support, or even financial support. So, pwede, under the support. So, for example, you're just new in the organization or in the business. So, there are some employees that will help you or will be, for example, your buddy, na you can ask question to them and then they can give you some advices regarding this, for example, regarding this client or regarding this engagement. So, ito yung tinatawag nating social support. So, in short, social support and effective employee relations must always go together like a horse and a carriage, as you can see in this picture. So, where one would be useless without the other. So, therefore, without social support, effective employee relations are not possible. And without effective social employee relationships, social support likewise is not possible. So, bakit, 'di ba? So, hindi ka magkakaroon ng social support if yung employee relations mo are not effective or hindi effective. Bakit? Kasi kapag hindi maayos yung employee relations mo, paano ka makakapag-support or paano magkakaroon ng support yung isa't isa within the organization. And also likewise, if without effective social employee relationships, hindi ka din magkakaroon ng magandang social support because these two really goes hand in hand. Kasi para magkaroon ng effective employer relationship or employee relations, kailangan meron kang maayos na social support or talaga na-experience ng bawat employee yung social support. So, bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng hindrance within the social support or the employee relations? So, here are some barriers to good employee relations. So, first is antisocial personality or refusal to share more about oneself to co-employees or being a loner. So, some employees have these personalities wherein nahihiya sila or sanay sila na nasa sarili lang nila or hindi sila sanay na mas makipag-usap or to be open to others. Also, lack of trust in others. It is very, alam naman natin lahat na hindi lahat tayo is madali magtiwala. So, this can be a barrier to good employee relations. So, next one is selfish attitude. So, too many self-serving motives. So, this selfish attitude is really one of the great barrier. Bakit? So, bakit ka nagiging selfish? Example, you want to you want to be promoted against or you want to be ahead of others. That's why nagkakaroon ka ng selfish attitude or nagiging selfish ka kasi gusto mo, for example, ikaw yung ma-promote or gusto mo ikaw yung bigyan ng reward. So, ganito yung kaya nagkakaroon ng barrier sa employee relation and kaya nagkakaroon minsan ng commotion dun sa mga business organizations. Another one is you're not a team player. So, being not a team player means you are not actively contributing to your group in order to complete tasks or to meet goals or to manage projects. So, if hindi ka nakakapag-contribute, meaning mas kunyari napapatagal or pwedeng hindi ma-meet nung team yung mga goals and objectives. Kasi 'di ba, you need to work hand in hand. 'Di ba? We already discussed before about the teamwork and also the coordination. So, this can also bring a barrier towards each other or within your group or within your team. And then next one is being conceited. So conceited means excessively proud of oneself or being vain, being arrogant, being boastful, being cocky, being full of oneself. So it can be a barrier to good employee relations. Kasi sino bang gusto na makipag-work sa ganun tao, 'di ba? Na parang puro siya na lang or siya yung bida. 'Di ba meron tayong term na bida-bida which is parang iyon yon yung being conceited. Kaya puwedeng maging, source siya ng away or source na hindi maganda yung pag-uusap ng mga employees under the organization. Next is cultural or subcultural differences. So, 'di ba, in an organization, you can come from many places or you can have different cultures. So, yung mga cultural differences na yon can be a barrier. And also lack of cooperation. So, if if for example, one of your teammates is hindi nakikipag-cooperate na maayos, so it can be a barrier since syempre ikaw bilang makikita mo naman na ginagawa mo yung work mo and you really cooperate with your team and then siya nakikita mo na hindi siya nakikipag-cooperate. So para magkakaroon yun ng barrier dun sa inyong dalawa and also sa perception mo sa kanya. So, next one is communication problems. So, refusal to listen to what others seek to communicate. So, it is very normal, yung communication problems, especially now na lahat is online. Sometimes, yung point, for example, or yung tone ng message is not as the way you perceived it. So, there can be communication problems. So, next one is lack of concern for others' welfare. So, kapag, di ba nga, puro ka sarili mo and hindi mo na tinitignan naman yung welfare ng others or yung mga katrabaho mo, so, magkakaroon din siya ng barrier sa work. And also, hindi ko pala nabanggit, is lack of good self-esteem. So, kapag wala kang believe sa sarili mo or you don't have your overall sense of self-worth or personal value, is magkakaroon din ng barrier since kapag ganon, parang magkakaroon din ng effect sa emotions or sa beliefs or the way you treat or the way you communicate with others. So again, all of that are some barriers to good employee relations. So, paano ba natin to maiiwasan or how can we or malimit yung gantong mga barriers? So, here are some ways to overcome barriers to good employee relations. So, first is you can develop a healthy personality to overcome negative attitudes and behavior. So, it is a way of improving yourself first to be able to have a good attitude or proper attitude and also professional behavior na hindi mahihirapan yung mga coworkers mo or colleagues mo to communicate or to connect with you. So next one is find time to socialize with coworkers. So in work, hindi lang naman siya puro work. So there are things na for example, ginagawa nung team nyo na time yon to socialize so you can eat out or you can have these um just have certain events or certain mga iba't ibang laro. So, yun yung time na hindi naman related sa work but can also improve your teamwork or your cooperation. And the next is overcome tendencies of being too dependent on electronic gadgets. So, 'di ba, one way kung bakit hindi na nagkakaroon ng harap-harang communication is dahil nangyayari na lahat sa electronic gadgets yung communication. So, but right now, since most of the people are working from home, syempre, hindi mo naman maiiwasan kasi yung source of communication nyo is through that electronic gadgets. But if nasa office na, so try not to be too dependent on that. Mas maganda pa rin yung nakikipag-usap ka face to face. And para mas nakikita mo din talaga yung reaction or yung body movement nung kausap mo. And the next one is you develop good communication skills and be open to others' opinions. So, ito na nga din yung next. So, dapat meron ka ding good communication skills. So, dapat nakikinig ka and at the same time, iniintindi mo yung sinasabi ng kausap mo. And also, yung being open to others' opinions. So, dapat hindi ka closed-minded. Especially, for example, ang nagbibigay sa'yo ng opinion is your head or your manager. So, parang you take that as a note na ito yung mga kailangan ko pang gawin or ito yung mas maganda palang ginawa ko. So, yun yung mga opinions na dapat hindi ka din sobrang, for example, may mali ka nagawa, and then bibigyan ka ng opinion, for example, ng manager mo. So, wag mo yun i-take as against sa kanya. Rather, i-take mo yun as a learning opportunity to be able to learn from him or her, especially nakakataas siya. And also, yung mga under mo naman or subordinates mo, so kailangan meron ka din proper communication skills sa kanila since hindi lang naman pwedeng one way or ikaw yung laging nagbibigay, for example, ng mga ginagawa sa kanila or nagbibigay ng mga advices sa kanila. So, you can also learn from them. And then next one is to minimize cultural or subcultural tension. So since we are all different, so and also yung mga upbringing sa mga employees under one organization is iba-iba, I think the best way here is to respect one another and to minimize nga the tension. So how can you minimize the tension is you need to respect their culture. You need to respect kung ano ba talaga yung sense ng ganito sa kanila. So, through that respect, mas mami-minimize mo yung tension na pwedeng mangyari dun sa organization. So, 'di ba, kapag nga nirerespeto mo sila and nakikita naman nila na nirerespeto mo sila, so the respect will also come back. And also at the same time, if you are being kind to them, magiging kind din sila sa'yo. So, those things are the ways to be able to overcome barriers to good employee relations. So, before we end our lesson 6, which is the employee relation, so here are three types of employees. So, we have engaged. So, these are employees who work with passion and feel a deep connection with their company. So, they drive innovation and move the organization forward. We also have those employees who are not engaged. So, these employees who are essentially checked out, they put time but not energy or passion into their work. So they might be burned out or they might be um feeling so low or hindi na talaga sila masaya or wala naman talaga doon yung passion nila. Kaya sila yung mga type ng employees na not engaged. And then we have actively disengaged. So these employees are not only unhappy at work but also act out their unhappiness. So they undermine what their engaged co-workers accomplish. So ibig sabihin, dun sa not engaged, they are not engaged but they put time to their work. Pero dito sa actively disengaged, unhappy na sila sa work and at the same time, hindi na din nila ginagawa or hindi na din sila nagpuput ng time dun sa work. So, this is under employee relations because this can also affect the working environment among each other since makikita mo naman sa bawat employees kung ano ba talaga sila. So, again, this is lesson 6, employee relations. So, we're moving to our next lesson, which is employee movements. So, what is employee movement? So, employee movements are a series of actions initiated by employee groups toward an end or specific goals. So, I will be flashing a few pictures here. So, as you can see in the pictures, so employee movements will be related or can be related to, yes, it is labor union. So, what is labor union? Labor union is a formal union of employees or workers that deals with employers, representing workers in their pursuit of justice and fairness in their fight for their collective or common interest. So, employees or workers unionize because of financial needs, unfair management practices, or social and leadership concerns. So, ibig sabihin dito sa labor union, is nag-unite sila because they want um, to be heard, or they want to have a justice or fairness for the things na pinaglalaban nila. Like, for example nga, yung financial needs or yung mga unfair na management practices. Like, dun sa picture kanina, kung makikita nyo, meron dong and contractualization. So, pag kasi ganon, is nalilimit din yung benefit or yung pay na binibigay sa mga employees. So, yun yung mga things na ipinaglalaban nila kung bakit nagkakaroon nitong mga labor union. So, to understand more the reasons why employees or workers unionize, so first, we have here the financial needs. So, there are complaints regarding wages or salaries and benefits given to them by the management or the usual reasons why employees join labor unions. So, hindi naman mapagkakaila na tumataas talaga yung value ng mga bagay-bagay or food or clothing or yung mga basic necessities dito sa Philippines. Like for example sa Manila, so for example dati magkano lang yung kilo ng bigas and then right now sobrang mas mahal na niya. So kailangan yung pinagkukuhanan din ng tao or source of income ng tao is magiging equal din so dun sa halaga na ginagastos nila. So, kaya nagkakaroon din ng labor unions, like para itaas, for example, yung minimum wage ng mga tao. Kasi nga, di ba, tumataas yung value, pero yung parang compensation or wages nila is naiiwan. Ibig sabihin, mas nagiging mahirap sa kanila para mas mag-provide pa lang ng basic necessities pa lang. So, paano na yung iba pang kailangan, di ba? So, that's the first one, financial needs. Next one is unfair management practices. So perceptions of employees regarding unfair or biased managerial actions are also reasons why they join mass movements. So example of these are lack of fairness in management or merong favoritism or especially pag related to sa promotion and also giving training opportunities and exemption from disciplinary action. So for example, under one company or one organization, um, isa sa mga unfair management practices is yung pwede nga na for example, yung isa nabigyan disciplinary action but yung isa hindi. And also yung fairness na nangyayari is nawawala na. So, kunyari, since sila yung mas close or mas favorite, sila yun na yung may pwedeng ma-promote or pwedeng ma-regularize. So, parang ganon. And also, pwede din na, for example, walang maayos na equipment for them, lalo na kunyari critical yung ginagawa nilang operation dun sa business. So, papasok din yun sa unfair management practices. Next is social and leadership concerns. So, some join unions for the satisfaction of their need for affiliation with a group and for the prestige associated with co-workers' recognition of one's leadership qualities. So, under this one, so nagkakaroon nga ng satisfaction kapag meron kang affiliation with the group. Kasi, for example, nagkakaroon ka ng mas malakas na boses para dun sa mga gusto nyong ipaglaban, for example nga. So, the voice of many is much stronger than the voice of one. So, ibig sabihin, working with co-workers as members of a union creates a much stronger presence when negotiating with management. So, kaya parang ganon, mas mahirap din silang i-ignore kung mas madami. Unlike, kunyari, ikaw lang, mas mahirap kasing iparinig dun sa management, for example, or mas mahirap kang pakinggan kasi nag-iisa ka lang. Pero kapag nasa group kayo, pwedeng mabuo yung mas malakas na voice para mas pakinggan nung nakakataas. So again, that's lesson 7, employee movements. Our last lesson under staffing is reward system. Rewards can be gifts, prizes, or merit, or service or achievement, which may have a motivating effect on the employee. So, oftenly kasi, organizations offer competitive reward system to attract knowledgeable and skilled employee and to keep them motivated and satisfied once they are employed in their firm. So, further, rewards promote personal growth and development and present fast employee turnover. So, di ba earlier we discussed na isa sa mga motivational factor for employees is yung mga rewards or through the compensations. So, kaya, ang mga management, they really offer rewards to their employees. So, managements offer different types of rewards. So, it can be monetary and non-monetary. So, when we say monetary, so, monetary rewards are rewards which pertain to money, finance, or currency. So, under this one, or under monetary rewards, we have the pay or salary, the benefits, the incentives, the executive pays, and the stock options. First one is the pay or salary. So, this is a financial remuneration given in exchange for work performance that will help the organization attain its goals. So, example of this is weekly or monthly or hourly pay, piece of work compensation, etc. So, dito papasok yung mga basic salary mo. So, what do you earn per month or per 15 or 30 or per week? Yung iba naman, merong per day na basic salary. So, nakadepende siya dun, for example, sa kung anong position mo or kung ano yung work na ginagawa mo. So, yung piece work compensation naman, so, nakadepende siya dun sa work or dun sa piece of work na ginawa mo. So, yung compensation na marireceive mo is based doon. Next one is benefits. So these are indirect forms of compensation given to employees or workers for the purpose of improving the quality of their work and personal lives. So examples of these are the non-de minimis benefits, which are the rice allowance, clothing allowance. So pwede din pumasok dito sa benefits yung mga healthcare benefits na binibigay ng mga employers or through educational benefits or travel benefits. So, pumapasok pa rin siya sa monetary since binabayaran pa rin siya ni employer para maibigay kay employee. So, meron pa rin monetary value. So, that's why it's under monetary rewards. Next one is incentives. So it establishes a baseline performance level that employees or groups of employees must reach in order to be given such reward or payment. So under incentives, so for example, bibigyan ka nitong incentives na to if na-reach mo yung gantong performance level. Or for example, dun sa mga salesman. So if they able to sell or to be able to sold goods amounting to, for example, 10,000, so meron silang incentive na makukuha from that. So, under din siya sa monetary since through money din yung binibigay and at the same time, reward siya kasi if hindi naman nakapag-perform well, so wala din naman makukuhang incentives. So next is the executive pay. So this is a compensation package for executives of organizations which consist of 5 components. So the basic salary, their bonuses, stock plans, benefits, and perquisite. So, perquisite is a special right or privilege enjoyed as a result of one's position. So, itong executive pays is para siya dun sa mga executives or higher ups sa isang organization. Kasi iba din yung component ng compensation package nila since sila nga yung head ng organization or sila yung pinaka-namumuno dun sa buong organization. So, additional yung sa mga um, perquisites nila is yung free use ng company car or paid membership sa mga country club. And yun, so lahat ng compensation na nare-receive ng mga executives, so it will be under this executive pays. And the last one, under monetary rewards is stock options. So these are plans that grant employees the right to buy a specific number of shares of the organization stock at a guaranteed price during a selected period. So itong stock options, so magkakaroon ng right yung employees na bumili ng shares ng kumpanya. So for example kasi yung company, it is composed of ordinary shares, for example. So yung shares na yon to be able na para maging stockholder ka or shareholder, so kailangan bumili ng mga shares. So, ito, binibigay siya sa employees as rewards since also, for example, for their performance or for their longevity of their work dun sa kumpanya, so binibigyan sila nito. So, parang magiging shareholder or stockholder na din sila nung kumpanya. And at the same time, yung binibigay sa kanilang price is yung guaranteed price. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya katulad nung ibang presyo if, for example, inoffer siya sa market or sa ibang tao. So, that's stock options. So again, all of that are monetary rewards. So we have payer salary, benefits, incentives, executive pays, and stock options. So after that, ano naman yung mga non-monetary rewards? So, non-monetary rewards are rewards which do not pertain to money, finance, or currency. So, it refers to intrinsic rewards that are self-granted and which have a positive psychological effect on the employee who receives them. So, an example of these non-monetary rewards are the awards or the praises that coming from, for example, your employer or from the management. So, yun. So, instead of through money or finance or currency, so parang nagkakaroon siya ng positive or psychological effect yung mga rewards na to. Which is, it can also be tangible kasi pwedeng may plaque or may trophy or may certificate. But yung effect noon psychologically as an employee is reward na mas mamomotivate yung employees mo to do well and to contribute more in the organization's objectives and goals. So first, under non-monetary reward is the award or award. So this is given to individual employees or group or teams for meritorious service or outstanding performance. So dito, hindi ka naman binibigyan ng pera or anything financial, but yung award na binibigay sa'yo is dahil dun sa performance na ginawa ng team nyo. Like for example, um, meron tayong tinatawag na target sales. And then, your team, for example, even exceeded that. So, pwede kayong mabigyan ng award for doing a great job and to be able to achieve and even exceeded the organization's goals or objective. So, ganun yung award. So, it can also be hindi lang sa group or team, but also as a person. So, for example, you won the leadership award or you have a service award. So, yan yung mga under ng non-monetary awards. And the next, we have the praise. So it is a form of non-monetary intrinsic reward given by superiors to their subordinates when they express oral or verbal appreciation for excellent job performance. So if for example, you meet the deadlines or you you are being praised by not only by your superiors or subordinates but also to the clients that you worked with. So ito yung parang mas nakaka-motivate since hindi parang nakikita kasi nila yung value or yung work or yung effort na ginagawa mo for the job or for the company to be able to achieve its goals. And also, yun nga, 'di ba, dun sa parang pay equity kanina na lahat ng effort or the value that you do is compensated with a proper pay, 'di ba? So dito naman dapat meron ka din namang reward system. Kasi dito mas namo-motivate yung mga employees. Kasi for example, kayo, you did a good job, for example in school. So 'di ba, gusto nyo din naman na marinig from your parents na good job anak, keep it up. So parang ganun din sa work. So if you've done really a great job, for example for a certain engagement or for a certain client, so the superiors or even mismo yung mismo management, so dapat nagkakaroon din sila ng praise for their employees. So again, that's non-monetary rewards. So again, the effect of this is the psychological effect or positive psychological effect dun sa mga employees na nakakatanggap nito. So that's lesson 8, reward system. So again, to wrap it up, so we've discussed the definition and nature of staffing, recruitment, the selection process, the training and development, the compensation or wages, and performance evaluation or appraisal, the employee relations and employee movements, and reward system. So I hope you've learned something under this chapter 5, staffing. So next week, we're heading to another chapter, which is also one of the function of management, which is leading and also controlling. So again, class, if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, so feel free to message me. So thank you, class, for listening. God bless and stay safe.